So yeah, my name is Taylor Owen. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, but lived in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, primarily my entire life. Around the age of 19, I ended up getting into some trouble and had a decision to make, really change my life or go down the same path and end up in jail or dead. I was actually at a church camp, believe it or not. It was mainly just to have fun, get away from the parents, play some sports, and meet cute girls, right? My wife's watching this, so gotta be careful. No, I'm just kidding. But then God had other plans. Days before the church camp, I was doing a lot of cocaine, smoking weed, popping pills. And I'm talking about a lot. If you guys know drugs, I bought an 8-ball literally 2 days before going on this church camp. So that showed you where my mind was. I didn't want anything to do with Jesus, but he wanted something to do with me. The very last day, the pastor preached on the prodigal son. And as I said, knowing God, knowing that he was real, but just running really from what I knew was there all along, he touched me. I was pulled like spiritually and physically to the front. We were all the way in the back, and I got pulled through people. It was a blur. I was bawling my eyes out. I went down. I was one of the first people at the altar. They didn't do an altar call. I just went up there, and I knelt down and just began to weep and cry and bawl and bawl and bawl. I believe that's when I got baptized in the Holy Spirit. It just honestly felt like a cleansing, and I'm just sitting there crying. I remember even my youth pastor, because he saw the transformation, he brought me to this thing at my high school. I think I'm like a junior. I'm a junior in high school, and he puts me in the middle of the gymnasium, and it's on YouTube. The video's on YouTube. I'll have to show you. It's kind of funny because I had no knowledge of Jesus. I just knew that something happened inside of me, and I had to get it out. And I stuck on that path for quite some time, and then, just through peer pressure, not really having a strong foundation of Christ, I just decided to go back to doing drugs, unfortunately, and, living that lifestyle until that lifestyle led me to a decision. I was gotten into an altercation with somebody, which ended up bringing guns out and shots were fired. A car got totaled, but no one got injured. But they ended up calling the cops on me, and me and my buddy ended up getting arrested, and I was looking at 10 to 15 years in prison. Getting that glimpse and that flashback of where God had me back in 2009, I was like, this is not the life for me. And I knew it wasn't the whole time, but I was just running from my purpose. I looked at God in the courtroom, and I gave him did some bidding with him, if you will, and I was like, Lord, if you get me out of this, God, I'll give my life to you. You know how we do. And sure enough, I was looking at 10 to 15 years, and now not only did I not have to do any time, but I have an absolutely clean record, which is unheard of. The only way I got out of it was Christ, and I knew it. And I'd love to say, that point on, my life has changed, but it wasn't. I still was addicted to this drugs, and for about a month, I was still living this lifestyle until I got a phone call from my stepmom. And she said, Taylor, what are you doing? I'm high. I was doing cocaine and smoking weed, about to go to work. I'm freaking out like she could see me. And I was like, about to go to work. Why? She was like, no, Taylor, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in New Orleans. And mind you, this is the same lady that weeks and months prior told me, you are not going to New Orleans, because it was a really grimy and dirty place. She didn't want me to go. She wanted me to go to some Lindsay Lohan type rehab. She literally told me that she would lay down in front of the car if I were to try to go to that grimy place that I call the Bible boot camp. Now all of a sudden she's calling me and saying, why aren't you going? I was super confused. I even said that. I was like, you didn't even want me to go. What are you talking about? And she told me, she's like, Taylor, when you were sitting in that courtroom and you told God, I will give you my all if you get me out of this, that you meant it. What's crazy about this entire story is I never told her that. My stepmom loves God, but she's not prophetic. She's not, in it like that. I knew it was God, and at that moment I got touched. Chills up and down my body. I began to bawl, cry, and I knew at that moment it was over. My old life was done and I'm giving it to him. And so that day I called my mom. She was freaking out because I'm calling her crying. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm okay, but I'm done. I'm done. I was teaching dance at the time. I never got to see the recital. I finished up school and literally left. I mean, it was probably with like 4 days after that phone call, packed my stuff up and left. And from that moment on, my life was changed.